Hi there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today you're joining me in a BMW 520d M Sport Touring. In particular, this is the F11 model that ran from 2012 right up until 2017 when they introduced the G30. And in my opinion, and the opinion of many other people, I think the 5 Series Touring is one of the best cars that you can buy as an everyday car. And this one is no exception, obviously. We'll dive into a little bit more about this particular car and why I think it is so good. Starting with the engine, it is a 20D in this particular one, which is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel producing 190 brake horsepower. That is then paired with this 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. This particular one is a sport automatic transmission, so it gives me the paddle shift just behind here as well, and it's a great gearbox to have. It's intuitive, there's no lag, it's got plenty of performance there when you need it with this setup, and I think it's the best of both worlds. It gets really good economy, you can sit on the dual carriageway on the motorway at 70, maybe a little bit more, and you'll feel really comfortable, and it just is responsive enough as well on these B roads that I tend to drive on quite often, that if I've got a slow moving tractor or something behind, I've got no worries. As long as the road is clear ahead, I know that I can just put my foot down a little bit to get around it. It offers the best of both worlds. And being the M Sport, you get the honeycomb grills at the front, you get a nicer bumper cutaway on the rear, and this particular one has got the 19-inch M Sport alloy wheels. A lot of people would worry with a slightly bigger wheel that obviously you get lower profile tyres and it kind of ruins the ride. But the 5 Series Touring, it's really comfortable, doesn't matter which specification you go for. The M Sport still has a sensible level of both the sport suspension and also the ride comfort. And in terms of the technology that this car has, I think it's brilliant. You've got this iDrive system that they call it with BMW. This one is the professional one, so it's got the wider screen and you've got the iDrive controls just down here. And it offers quite a lot of technology, and I think it's really easy to use. You've got these subheadings on your iDrive controller, so you press nav, it takes you through to the map. You can press nav again, it takes you through to the destination input menu and things like that. You've got your telephone, which you can connect via Bluetooth. You can also stream your audio through there as well. Pressing menu always takes you back to this bit here. You've got the dial, you can scroll through, select through. It's all very intuitive and easy. You've also got these 8 buttons here, of which a lot of people tend to just save them as radio stations, but with BMW, you can actually save these to be phone numbers, or you can save them to be addresses for other destinations. So for example, in my BMW 330d X-Drive, it had this exact professional navigation system. My number 8 was my home postcode, so it didn't matter where I was within the system, didn't matter where I was within Europe. If I pressed number 8, it would automatically set everything to take me home. A really nice and easy system to use. You've got your window switches over here and your mirror adjustment just above that. This particular one's got the power fold mirrors with the anti-dazzle. You've also got your automatic xenon lights just up here, which come as standard on the M Sport of this era, but the adaptive side of things is an additional extra. So what the adaptive side does is it alters your high beam for you. So when you've got your adaptive lights on, it automatically dips your high beam when there's a car coming the other way and then turns it back on when they've passed. A nice system to use. It's not an essential, but it's a gimmick and it's a nice one to have. As mentioned, the sport automatic transmission gives you these paddle shift gears around the back of the steering wheel here. You've got your cruise control on the left hand side, media control on the right hand side, of which you can also answer and decline calls. Your dual climate controls, really easy to operate. You've got these dials which turn your temperature and a very simple button just to change your fan speed. So just easy, you don't have to take your eyes off the road, you can just operate it. It's really quite a nice thing to do. This particular BMW also has close to £10,000 worth of additional extras, and those include this sliding opening panoramic sunroof with the sunblind that comes across. You've also got the rear reversing camera with the front and rear parking sensors. As mentioned, you've got the power fold mirrors, you've got the adaptive xenons rather than just the xenons. You've got these half electric heated seats which are really quite comfortable. They're nice and wide, they almost hug you, and it's in Dakota leather. It's a really hard wearing leather. I've sold a lot of these BMWs, they never hang around for long, and people like them because they're really quite durable. None of the buttons are faded, nothing's chipping away, all the wood's in really nice condition in this particular one as well. It all feels quite fresh, even though this particular car has done 100,000 miles. You wouldn't think about that just sitting in it. It's just an enjoyable experience, it really is. So the F11 came in various different forms of specification and also engine levels as well. You had the SE, the Sport, the Luxury and the M Sport, and then you also had the 18D, which is this same 2-litre turbo diesel engine producing 150 brake horsepower, the 20D, which is this particular one, producing 190 brake horsepower, the 25D producing 204 brake horsepower, and then they went to the 3-litre straight 6 turbo diesel, the 30D, which produces 258 brake horsepower, the 35D producing 313 brake horsepower. There's no getting away from it that those 30D engines, they are a bit more of an exciting drive to have. But of course you do have to pay a little bit more of a premium to get them, even in the used car market these days. So if you're not really hung up on having the most powerful 5 Series out there, the 20D is perfectly capable. The 190 brake horsepower really is responsive. You also get a great level of economy. So on this particular journey that I've been doing on these country roads, I've been averaging 44 miles to the gallon, and considering what this car gives me in terms of comfort and practicality, I really can't grumble at that. I'd like to think that on a longer motorway run, I'll be getting the early 50s, maybe even 55, and if you're going to be motorway crawling a lot, there's no better car to do it in. There really isn't, in my personal opinion. The road tax is relatively cheap. The insurance shouldn't be too bad being on the 2-litre turbo diesel. But if you did want that more powerful engine, the 530D, again, it's a phenomenal car. You can't take it away from that. They're both paired with this 8-speed gearbox, and it is intuitive, it is responsive. I've already mentioned that. And I just think that for all of these reasons, the BMW 5 Series Touring really does tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people. I think if you're looking for a grand touring type car that can offer you a huge amount of practicality and comfort, this is it. You should definitely consider one. And as I've already mentioned, this particular BMW has a huge level of specification. It's got near £10,000 worth of options on it. Now, of course, not every BMW is going to have that. If you can find a high-spec one, brilliant. But I'd almost sacrifice a little bit of specification to make sure that I find a good and well-maintained one. Check that the service history is all legitimate. You can always check on the MOT history check as well on the government website. This particular one has a full BMW service history, which I know not everyone's going to take it back, but if they've taken it to a reputable garage or even a specialist, it's always nice to see. And make sure it's got both keys with them as well, make sure they both work, and just double check other things such as your air conditioning, making sure that's nice and cold, making sure that you've got decent tyres all around and they're of a good quality. And if you've got mismatched tyres and things like that, it sometimes begs the question of how well have they actually maintained this vehicle. You might find the top spec car, but if they've not really cared for it, it might actually give you a bit of a headache in the long run. So they all come as standard with the business satellite navigation. The professional navigation is really easy to use and it's really quite nice to have that bigger screen, but they all come as standard with the business navigation, which does the job. And it all comes as standard in the M Sport range with these bigger comfortable seats. The Dakota leather was an additional extra for the SEs and whatnot, so the M Sport comes as standard with those. It really is, do a little bit of research, make sure it's been very well maintained, and I think you'll get a really comfortable car that you're very, very pleased with and will keep for a long, long time. So there we have it, guys. That is why I think that the BMW 5 Series Tourer, along with many, many other people, is one of the best cars that you can buy. If you did like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot. And of course, check out my previous videos as well. I've had various different BMWs on the channel, one of which being a 430i convertible. I've had 2 BMW X5s, the F15 and the E70. So be sure to check those out. And I hope to see you again for the next one.